The 3 levers applied to masking. Before we continue, you need to understand the simple engine behind sustainable energy. The 3 levers: safety, autonomy, competence. Pull them in that order, and masking drops without you forcing it. Start with safety. Why? Because if your amygdala thinks you're at risk, it will keep grabbing the steering wheel. The fix is pre- and post-social regulation that tells your nervous system, we're okay. Practically, that's 2 moves. First, pre-regulate. 90 seconds, eyes on a soft horizon, slow nasal breathing to a gentle 4 to 6 second inhale and longer exhale. The reason this works is it nudges parasympathetic tone up and lowers salience tagging. Second, set a clear frame at the start of interactions: purpose, length, and scope. We've got 20 minutes to decide A or B, let's hold tangents. That trims ambiguity, which is a common trigger for DACC and insula threat signals. After the call, post-regulate. Stand, shake out tension, 1 more slow cadence minute. That small sandwich shrinks the vigilance window and protects HRV later. Now autonomy. This is about shifting from have to choose to. The shortcut nobody teaches is a tiny boundary script you install before the day starts. Write 1 sentence you can use 3 ways: open, redirect, and exit. For example, I choose to do this async because it keeps our decision quality high, or I can do 5 minutes now, then send a doc, or I'm out at the half, I'll summarize actions. These lines restore agency without blowing up relatedness. Also, choose your cadence. Stack similar interactions, then buffer. Your brain pays a metabolic tax for state switching, batching cuts the cost. Once safety and autonomy lift, competence can breathe. Here, S where you pre-commit to 2 or 3 true self micro behaviors that reduce self-monitoring. Maybe it's your natural speaking pace, a default, thinking out loud clause, or a standard, let me write it up bridged. These micro behaviors reduce the need to simulate a persona, which frees working memory for depth. If you remember nothing else here, competence shows when your bandwidth isn't hostage to performance. Let me show you the flywheel in action. Safety reduces vigilance and frees bandwidth. With bandwidth back, autonomy choices are easier. You can pick a sync over sync, decline scope creep, and control timing. Those choices cut impression management and protect working memory. Protected working memory lets competence show up: clearer writing, better judgment, faster synthesis. Seeing better results further lowers threat, which deepens safety. Once you nail that, everything else clicks. Okay, so what do you change tomorrow? Pair 1 safety ritual with 1 autonomy script and 1 competence micro behavior. Example stack for a high mask morning. Pre-call horizon breathing, open with a scoped agenda, use I choose to send a draft by 3 p.m., and speak at your natural pace. Post-call, 1 minute of downshift and a 5-minute no-performance sprint on a concrete deliverable. You'll feel the vigilance drop as the day goes, and your task depth will quietly climb. The game changer nobody talks about is order. Don't chase competence first. Build safety, claim autonomy, then competence appears as the byproduct. That's how you stop performing to feel safe and start designing safety so you can perform. Map your mask load, the 5-variable audit. Let me show you exactly how to see the leak. We're going to build your mask load index with 5 variables: duration, density, power imbalance, ambiguity, and identity dissonance. Each one turns the vigilance dial and taxes executive bandwidth. Score each from 1 to 5 for any interaction, then add them up. Higher totals equal more amygdala vigilance, more prefrontal load, and a bigger metabolic cost. First, duration. How long were you on? A quick 5-minute check-in might be a 1. A 60-minute high-stakes call? That's likely a 4 or 5. Longer time in performance mode means more sustained top-down control, which eats glucose and oxygen and drags HRV down later. Second, density. How stacked were your interactions? If you bounced from meeting to meeting with under 5 minutes between, score it high. Dense stacks amplify dual-task interference because you never clear the self-monitoring tab. Fewer buffers, more load. Third, power imbalance. Who held the leverage, your boss, a client, a panel? Power gaps spike threat detection. When outcomes feel tied to approval, the salience network flags every cue and you inhibit more of your natural behavior. That's a fast route to executive fatigue. Fourth, ambiguity. Were expectations, roles, or goals unclear? Vague agendas force extra cue tracking and script generation. The DACC and insula work harder under uncertainty. which is why unclear meetings feel twice as tiring for the same calendar time. Fifth, identity dissonance. Did you have to talk, dress, or decide in a way that felt unlike you? Any mismatch between your always true self and the role you performed adds microsuppression. Even small shifts, toning down directness, avoiding questions you'd normally ask, stack into real load. Now score an event. Say you had a 45-minute client pitch, duration 4, density 4, power imbalance 4, ambiguity 3, identity dissonance 3. Total, 18. That's a high mask load index. Do this for the day, then the week. You'll start to see cliffs, days that reliably leave you depleted, and valleys where you recover. Turn those scores into a mask heat map. Color high totals red, medium yellow, low green. Next to each day, jot 3 notes: sleep onset time, perceived depth of sleep, and a 1-line ease rating from 1 to 5. Watch the pattern. High red stacks tend to predict lower next morning ease, shallower sleep, and lower HRV if you track it. That's not mood, it's physiology. Now here's where most people mess up. They only look at meetings. Add non-meeting performance windows too: Slack storms, camera on carking, networking pings, even beyond hallway time. If you monitored yourself more than the task, score it. Once you map, tag red slots where multiple variables stack. 3 or more scores at 4 or 5, that's red. Green slots are async blocks, solo deep work, or supportive ones with clear scope and low dissonance. Your goal isn't 0 red, it's dose control and buffer math. Each red unit gets at least 1.5 green units within 24 hours to normalize HRV. 2 quick examples. A recruiter with 6 interviews back-to-back had density 5, ambiguity 4, power 3 because candidates still judge. Total per block, 16-18. Adding 90-second resets, scoped intros, and a protected 30-minute green buffer dropped their weekly red total by 20% and improved next-day ease. A product lead moved 1 high-ambiguity stakeholder call from Monday morning to Wednesday afternoon with a green buffer before and after. Same content, lower index, fewer errors in Tuesday's roadmap write-up. Build your profile, then we'll plug in circuit breakers. The 7 circuit breakers. You've mapped the red slots. Now we install circuit breakers so the load doesn't snowball. Think of these as tiny switches that lower vigilance, protect working memory, and keep your energy from leaking. First, pre-commit scripts. Write 3 I choose to because lines you can deploy on demand, an opener, a redirect, and an exit. Opener, I choose to keep this to 20 minutes so we decide A or B redirect. I'm choosing a sync for the details so we protect decision quality. Exit, I'm stepping out at the half, I'll send actions. The reason this works is it restores autonomy and reduces controlled motivation. Your brain stops asking, do I have to be on? And starts accepting the frame you set. Common mistake, apologizing after the script. Don't dilute it. Deliver it clean and warm. Variations you can copy. Opener for high-status rooms. I'm choosing a 15-minute decision window, A or B by 15, parking lot after. Redirect when scope sprawls. I'm choosing a sync for details so we don't trade clarity for speed, doc lands by 3 p.m. Exit under pressure. I'm out at 30 to protect delivery. I'll send owners and next steps. Physiology. Clear time boundaries reduce ambiguity, which quiets the DACC insula threat tagging and lowers amygdala vigilance. Lower vigilance means fewer inhibitory demands on the prefrontal cortex, freeing working memory. Pitfalls. Stacking justifications, because and also, which invites debate. Upspeak that signals uncertainty. Adding sorry just, which reintroduces impression management. Second, role labels. Define scope up front so ambiguity doesn't drive over monitoring. Try, today I'm wearing the editor hat, not the brainstormer, or I'm here to clarify requirements, not commit resources. Role labels shrink the unknowns that poke the DACC and insula. Your system stops scanning for what am I missing and starts executing inside clear lanes. If someone pushes beyond scope, use a gentle loop. Sounds like new scope. Do we want to park it or schedule a separate decision? Variations you can copy. Accountability lane. I'm the editor today. Final commit sits with product by Friday. Resource guard. I'm here to surface risks. Resourcing decisions live in Monday's review. External calls. Today I'm the integrator synthesizing inputs, not approving spend. Physiology. Explicit roles reduce uncertainty signals that otherwise raise salience and heart rate variability suppression. Predictable lanes reduce the need for self-simulation. Pitfalls: vague labels, supporting, that don't change behavior. Failing to restate the label when drift appears, using labels as shields without warmth. Third, micro-escapes. Between interactions, take 90 seconds for a parasympathetic reset. Soften your gaze to a distant horizon, breathe through your nose with a relaxed 4 to 6 second inhale and a slightly longer exhale. Let your shoulders drop on the exhale. You're sending a not in danger signal that bumps HRV upward and downshifts salience tagging. If you can, stand and shake your arms for 10 seconds to discharge tension. Mistake to avoid: grabbing your phone. Scrolling reactivates vigilance. Variations you can copy: 30-30-30. 30 seconds horizon gaze, 30 seconds slow exhales in 4, out 6-8, 30 seconds shake. Box downshift. In 4 hold 2, out 6 hold 2, repeat 6 cycles. Grounding press, palms on desk, slow exhale, feel feet 3 reps. Physiology. Long exhales stimulate vagal pathways. Horizon gaze widens the visual field, signaling safety to the midbrain. Gentle movement discharges sympathetic activation. Pitfalls: treating resets as optional, doing them while reading Slack, overbreathing, lightheadedness instead of slow, easy cadence. Fourth, environmental anchors. Control what you can: seat position, lighting, agenda visibility, and notification state. Sit where you can see the room or the participant's grid without craning. Lower harsh lighting if possible. Put the agenda in the shared dock or on screen. Kill non-critical notifications. These are small, but they cut background salience triggers and reduce the need to scan. If the room is chaotic, name it. Let's anchor on the dock so we're not juggling tabs. That one sentence recenters attention. Variations you can copy: camera ergonomics. Hide self-view. Pull the window under the camera so gaze aligns naturally. Acoustic control, earbuds on, noise suppression on, name it if needed. I'm muting side noise so we can track decisions. Physical prop. Keep a visible timer or decision checklist on screen. Physiology. Fewer novel stimuli mean fewer salience pings. Consistent sensory input lowers the baseline metabolic cost of monitoring. Pitfalls: leaving notifications on just in case. Tolerating glare that forces micro squints. Agenda tabs buried behind windows. Fifth, asynchronous first swaps. Move anything that doesn't need live impression management to templates and docs. Status updates, pre-reads, option analyses, ship them as async artifacts with crisp prompts. Skim 3 mins, comment by 3 p.m. on risks only. You preserve working memory for synthesis instead of performance. Start with a weekly default. If it's info or options, it's async by default. Mistake to avoid: sending walls of text. Use bullets, bold decisions, and a single question to focus feedback. Variations you can copy: template opener. Context 3 bullets, options ABC, ask choose 1 risk to kill. Comment lanes, thread 1 risks, thread 2 dependencies, no drive-bys. Escalation clause, if 2+ blockers by noon, we'll do a 10-minute decision huddle. Physiology, writing externalizes memory load, shrinking prefrontal juggling. Async reduces real-time social evaluation, dropping amygdala tone. Pitfalls, using async as a dump without a decision ask. Mixing FYI and decisions, unclear deadlines. Sixth, social tapering. Treat high-mask events like athletic doses. Ramp into them with a green buffer, then taper down after. Before, 5 to 15 minutes of low-demand prep and a micro-escape. After, a no-performance window, camera off, notifications down, simple physical reset. Cluster similar conversations when you can, and avoid mixing a red slot with deep work immediately after. Dose control keeps dopamine from crashing and cortisol from creeping all day. If you must stack reds, extend the taper. Variations you can copy: red cluster recipe, 10-minute pre-taper, plus 2x 25-minute calls, plus 10-minute debrief, plus 5-minute horizon, plus 20-minute async capture. Emergency stack. If 3 reds back-to-back, insert a 3-minute hallway walk and 1 shallow tile before re-entry. End-of-day taper. Last red ends 90 minutes before shutdown. CNS buffer sits right after. Physiology. Tapering smooths dopamine valleys and prevents sustained cortisol elevation. Buffers let parasympathetic tone recover so HRV normalizes within a day. Pitfalls: squeezing a quick sink into buffers, scheduling a deep block immediately after a read, compensating with sugar caffeine spikes that boomerang. 7th, debrief ritual. Close the loop so stress doesn't trail into your evening and trash sleep. 2 minutes, 3 steps. Step 1, cognitive offload, write 3 bullets, what decided, what unclear, next move. Step 2, somatic release, 10 slow exhales, shoulders down, jaw unhooked. Step 3, micro-win, start the first 60 seconds of the next action so re-entry later is easy. This completes the stress cycle, helps sleep onset, and frees the prefrontal from holding the whole meeting in RAM. Variations you can copy. 3x3 card, 3 decisions, 3 risks, 3 next steps. Snap a photo to the thread. Voice memo, 45-second recap to yourself, auto-transcribe to the doc. 1-line stand, write the 1 sentence you'll defend tomorrow. Physiology, offloading reduces rumination drivers in the default mode network. Slow exhales signal safety. Initiating the next action creates a Zeigarnik effect closure. Pitfalls, turning the debrief into a new task, skipping the somatic step, leaving the unclear list without a time to resolve. Let me show you how these layer. Red slot coming, lead with a role label and a time-bounded opener. Run the agenda. If the conversation widens, redirect with your script. End on the half with a clean exit. Micro-escape, jot your debrief. Drop into an async task for 5 minutes to reassert competence. That stack turns what used to be a 90-minute recovery into 15. Advanced layer, pair environmental anchors, agenda visible, self-view hidden with tapering math, 1.5x green per read hour. Add a glycemic steady snack before the second read to stabilize dopamine, then schedule a CNS buffer before evening work. 2 quick micro-stories. A founder used scripts and role labels to shrink ambiguity in investor calls. Their heart rate steadied, they spoke at a natural pace, and post-call write-ups took half the time. A recruiter added horizon breathing and a 2-minute debrief between interviews. Their end-of-day, brain fog, rating dropped from a 4 to a 2 without changing total meetings. If you remember nothing else, install the switch before the surge. Scripts claim autonomy, labels cut threat, resets restore safety, and async Case
protects
studies.
competence.
Intention right
One of
arrow,
each,
obstacle
every red.
right arrow, stakes right arrow resolution. Case 1, a manager with back-to-backs. Intention, protect team focus and hit deadlines without adding headcount. Obstacle, 6 one-hour meetings a day, most with shifting agendas and mixed audiences. Stakes, project slipping, engineers context switching, and the manager ending each day so depleted that prioritization fell apart. Resolution started with a 1-week mask heat map. Red slots clustered around mixed status stand-ups and vague stakeholder reviews. We installed 3 circuit breakers, scoped role labels, async first status, and 90-second micro-escapes. Monday's stand-up moved to a 3-bullet async doc, risks, blockers, decisions needed. Live time shrunk to 12 minutes. The manager opened each review with, "I'm wearing the editor hat. We're choosing between option A or B in 20 minutes." Between calls, eyes soft horizon and slow nasal cadence. The result? Fewer off-agenda detours, cleaner decisions, and a measurable rebound. HRV trended up midweek, sleep onset shortened by 15 minutes, and decision errors, like greenlighting half-baked tasks, dropped. Their attention watch time rose about 28% by their own task depth minutes, and the team hit the next sprint without weekend catch-up. Mechanics to note: role labels killed ambiguity, async turned status into artifacts, micro-escapes clipped rumination. The combination reduced DACC insula activation and freed prefrontal bandwidth for prioritization. Case 2, a freelancer juggling client tone codes. Intention, keep clients happy while doing thoughtful work. Obstacle, 3 brands, 3 personas, constant self-editing to fit the vibe. Stakes, delayed drafts, creeping churn risk, and that hollowed out feeling after every feedback call. We began with autonomy scripts and role labels. Before each kickoff, "I'm here as the strategist today, we'll lock message architecture, then I'll write a draft by Friday." That single line cut ambiguity and stopped scope creep mid-call. Then a redirect script. "I choose async for examples so we protect decision quality. Expect a doc with 3 options." Competence unlocked when they committed to 2 always-true micro-behaviors, their natural speaking pace and a default thinking out loud clause. With safety rituals bookending meetings, they felt less need to simulate a chirpier persona. The change showed up fast. Drafts accepted with fewer rounds, meetings 30% shorter, and their daily mask load index fell by about 4 points on heavy days. Subjective ease rose, and the churn scare flipped. One client expanded scope because the work felt clearer and more confident. Exactly what happens when working memory goes to the task instead of the performance. Mechanics to note: scripts reintroduced choice, identity-level cues reduced self-surveillance, async shifted evaluation from persona to product. Case 3, a neurodivergent creator getting ground down by meetings. Intention: keep uploading weekly while partnering with brands and collaborators. Obstacle: high-density calls, camera on by default, and constant code switching. Stakes: creeping burnout, missed upload weeks, and shaky income. We mapped their week. Red peaks came from Tuesday brand reviews and Thursday collab brainstorms. High power imbalance, high ambiguity, high density. We applied tapering, async swaps, and identity-level agreements. Tapering looked like this: 15-minute green buffer before and after red slots, plus micro-escapes between. Async swaps moved briefing and options to a one-page doc with timestamped clips, so live time focused on final choices. Identity agreements included: I always pause before answering, I don't mirror slang I don't use off camera, and I ask one clarifying question before committing. They rehearsed these in low-stakes DMs first, then scaled to brand calls. 2 weeks in, their mask load index on Tuesdays dropped from 1820 to 1315. Sleep efficiency improved, shorter time to fall asleep, fewer wake-ups, and upload cadence stabilized. The real payoff: better on-camera presence. Without the residue of performance mode, recording days felt less like climbing out of a hole and more like starting already in gear. Mechanics to note: tapering stabilized dopamine, agreements created identity predictability, async constrained impression management. Case 4, a leadership transition during a high-pressure negotiation. Intention: a newly promoted VP of operations needed to negotiate vendor terms after a supply shock while signaling steady leadership to an anxious org. Obstacle: high power imbalance with a legacy vendor, a hostile first round, and internal eyes on every move. Stakes: millions in quarterly costs, executive trust in the new VP, and a culture primed to revert to fire drills. We ran a 5-day prep using the 3 levers plus circuit breakers. Day 1 safety build. The VP rehearsed a role label opener. I'm wearing the integrator hat. We're here to land volume guarantees and clarity on SLAs, and practiced 90-second micro-escapes between mock rounds. Environmental anchors set. Agenda on screen, self-view hidden, timer visible. Day 2, autonomy scripts, 3 lines ready. Opener: I'm choosing a 20-minute decision window per term so we keep momentum. Redirect: I'm choosing a sync on data validation, send the audit trail. We'll confirm by 3 p.m. Exit: I'm out at 30, I'll send red lines. Day 3, competence micro behaviors. Natural pace, a single clarifying question before each commitment, and a written recap within 10 minutes of each session. Day 4, social tapering. Red slots clustered 10, 0, 0, 11, 30 with a pre-taper, horizon gaze, protein snack, and a post-taper, 5-minute walk, 2-minute debrief, 20-minute async capture. Day 5, identity agreements. I don't bluff timelines. I won't mirror aggression. I ask for a 5-minute pause if data's unclear. In the room, the VP led with the role label and decision clock. When the vendor pushed for off-agenda concessions, the VP used the redirect script and parked items cleanly. Environmental anchors mattered. Agenda front and center, notifications off, self-view hidden. After each round, a debrief ritual locked decisions and started the next action, drafted 1 clause. Outcome: a 2-tier pricing model with volume flex, a documented SLA with penalties, and internal trust up. HRV trended up mid-week despite negotiations, sleep onset shortened by about 10 minutes, and the executive team noted the negotiation felt calm. The culture signal landed. Decisions through clarity, not performance. Mechanics to note: safety first, state room, lanes, then autonomy, scripts, time boxes, then competence, micro behaviors, artifacts. The vendor escalated twice. The VP invoked the 5-minute pause both times, protecting working memory and keeping tone steady. Now a mini stack that shows mechanics in motion. A product lead faced a quarterly roadmap review infamous for derailment. Intention: lock priorities without a 3-hour slog. Obstacle: senior stakeholders adding pet features mid-meeting. Stakes, scattered roadmap, team whiplash, and late quarters. We built a pre-commit opener. I'm here as the editor. Goal is to confirm the top 5 bets. New ideas go to the parking lot doc for Friday's triage. Agenda shared ahead with a crisp async pre-read. Risks, capacity, trade-offs. In meeting, the lead kept a live doc visible, checked decisions as they happened, and used a clean exit. We're at time, confirming we've locked 5. I'll summarize, and any parked items roll to Friday. They layered in micro escapes before and after, plus a 2-minute debrief to finish the stress cycle. Outcome, the review ended in 52 minutes, no pet features squeezed in, and the next day's deep work block produced a tighter spec than usual. Their HRV nudged up, sleep onset shortened, and they reported that afternoon felt quiet for the first time this quarter. If there's a pattern here, it's simple. Make safety explicit, claim autonomy in small scriptable ways, and let competence follow.